Let's mute our phones, guys.
Amen.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Advocacy. Tonight, we have Bunny with me as my co-host. Hey, Bunny. And we also have Carmelita and we have Phyllis. These are sisters that are doing a dual role as caretakers, caregivers. I'm sorry, caregivers.
Mhm.
So what we want to do is we're going to learn about ALS. I'm excited because I know nothing about it, just like my audience. And so again, the whole purpose of advocacy is to educate and enlighten. So with that being said, Phyllis and Carmelita, I'm gonna turn it over to you. I think we said Carmelita's going to start off. She's going to give us an introduction, tell us a little bit about herself, and then we'll go right to Phyllis.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining. And thank you also, Paula and Bunny, for giving us the opportunity to share what we have experienced with the ALS, which is known as oh God, the word gets me, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, and also a lot of people identify it as Lou Gehrig's. And what Lou Gehrig's is, and ALS is a disease that affects the brain, which causes the brain to not send signals to your neurons and so forth, and it causes your muscles and your nerves to degenerate in your body, which causes immobility, and it also affects your breathing because some people with or patients, we call them PALS, patient with ALS, they on ventilators, they have trachs, and there are some that don't, but they just don't have the mobility part of their body to where the brain is not sending the signals that's needed. And with us, we've experienced this with Antonio, which is currently, he'll be 52 in April. Yes. And he was diagnosed with this horrible disease at age 35. Yes, he has lived past the time frame that they specified that he would. A long time past that. They give you 1 to 5 years basically, and he's been living since then, and he's still living. And if he could get about that chin, then he would run through this house and he would shout and dance and all of that because that was just his lifestyle. He was a worshiper, and in
Mhm.
fact, he still does his worship, which is a good thing. He just can't do the physical aspects of the worship that he had done, in the past. He was a pastor of a ministry and things like that. And he lived in Las Vegas for a while. He was in several nursing homes. And then my daughter and I, Marie, went to Vegas and brought him back here because he was supposed to do a clinical study. And they started the clinical study. And then during the process of it, they said that he had already lived past the time frame and the study really wouldn't do him any good. And that's a problem that he's been facing for years, trying to get in these different studies to see what they can do or can inject to cause his muscles and nerves to wake up, and be active again. And every time we find one that we think that's going to be feasible for him, they tell him that, no, you won't be a good candidate because you have already lived past the time. And so that makes me wonder if the diagnosis was actually what they say it is. But everyone now, it appears if you have muscle and nerve degeneration, they are classifying that as a form of ALS because it does paralyze your body. You do have moving parts of your body because he can move his fingers, he can move his feet, he can raise his legs, stuff like that. But as far as doing anything else, he can't raise his arm past his waistline. And then he is on a vent with the trach and has depended on that, to continue his breathing. There was a time before certain things transpired that he was able to do a little more. And as time went on, and we had to put him into a facility because we needed the 24-hour care and so forth like that, the things that they did to him while in those places really had affected him in a negative way. And so what we've been trying to do is try to rebuild those areas of his body so he can try to get back to some kind of normality, than he has now. Other than that, his spirits are good most days. Everybody, just like us, we all have our challenges. And so some days we have good days, some days we have bad days. He has been in and out of the hospital quite frequently a lot in the last 2 years which wasn't normal at first, but they say that his because of the disease, it's causing him to causing him to develop more pneumonia in his lungs and his trach and things like that. So right now his lungs are really scarred. So they say, but we have been praying and fasting about them lungs being healed, because we still believe that God is the healer, and He'll do just what He said He'd do according to His word. So that's all I have to say right now at this point. But I will ask questions if necessary, and I'm going to turn it over to Phyllis.
Well, hello, I'm Phyllis, and as my sister said, thank you, Paula and Bunny, for inviting us on your podcast tonight. ALS is a very debilitating, and it's a horrible disease one has to experience. And as my sister said, he was diagnosed at age 35, and AI and Google, if anyone Googles it, it'll tell you that it affects individuals in their 50s up through 75, but that was not the case with my nephew. He was diagnosed, as you can see, at an early age, and has been dealing with it for now, 16 or 17 years. And he was just very active, like my sister said. But the part that I want to get to is that when I first found out that he was having difficulty, I saw him kind of like having difficulty holding a plate. We were at something for our church or something, and seeing him struggle to hold the plate, and then eventually once that he couldn't grip anything, and then he started with the walk. He would walk, and he walked like stumbling, really stumbling. And when you start getting to that stage, it's like you have no control. And then you also see that the muscles will just start just jumping, all of the nerves and everything will just start jumping all over the place, where it gets to the point where your knees and your legs are jumping up and down. Your hand, it's sometimes he did experience some pain because of those things happening, but it went from that, and then it just starts just making you just lose just any kind of mobility whatsoever. It also affects your speech. You'll notice you try to say your speech will start being slurred. And then, as my sister said, and later on, it started affecting his breathing to the point where he was on a CPAP, but that really didn't help. So then, of course, when it really started affecting his breathing to the point where he had to he couldn't breathe and lost consciousness. So when they put him in the hospital, they had to, of course, intubate him. He was intubated for several weeks, and until made the decision that he would need to have a trach put in. And so from that point on, and that he would need to be in a facility, as my sister was saying. So we watched him just go through all of those stages to the point where also it causes you to almost be in a fetal position, and it also changes your features in your face. You can tell sorry we don't have pictures of him before then. Handsome young man. It changes the look of his face, everything. And so but even in the midst of that, he was still trying to live a normal life. He was still preaching. He was still dancing around in the spirit and whatever, trying, with some assistance. But it got to the point where we really had to help. He really needed help. So, and he.
Can I say one quick? Can I interject? Because I'm on the subject that you're talking about, if you all don't mind. Yeah. Even with that, one thing that we did notice that he brought to our attention when he first started noticing something was going on with him, he couldn't use his fingertips to fasten his clothes. So we had to fasten his clothes. And then Phyllis, like Phyllis said, then eventually it went to the walk where he would walk almost like a baby trying to learn how to walk. And he would bump into the walls, and we had to have, the wall replaced and stuff like that, because the pressure when you fall back like that, it impacted, and it would, how cheap walls are nowadays and things like that. It would bust a hole in the wall. And so then he started using a walker only in the house. He would not outside. He would have assistance versus doing that. But because he just was determined that he was going to be healed, and his manifestation of his healing was going to come forth. And so that was one reason why. So when you said that, I'm sorry, my mind went back to when he was unable to use his fingertips to even fasten his clothes, and we would have to help get him dressed and things like that, and to help him go do what he had to do. He still drove. He didn't care. He would scoot out that house some kind of way and get in that car, and he would drive. Then finally, after a few years, it came to the point where he couldn't even drive, because we were afraid for him to drive because of the severity of how the muscles and nerves had started generating the mobility was, leaving his body. Okay. Thank you, Phyllis, for letting me interject.
Tony really pushed, and he believed, like you said, he believed in his healing. I remember when he shared it on social media, and like you said, he surpassed the time frame that, what they say, if you've got ALS, your life expectancy, and he surpassed that, and he kept, sharing his story. It's just been amazing how God has kept him here, and there's a purpose in everything. And my mom will always say, we're not going anywhere until God says that we're going, no matter what the doctor says. So this is I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this.
And Bonnie, you're right. You're right about that. Because so the past 2 years and up to the present, he's been hospitalized several times, and each time that he's gone, and I'm sharing this because it helps somebody, that you just have to pay attention and watch. We never knew, he never had, all these years had seizures. He ended up with a seizure one time last year, things like that. And he would just code out. Yes. He would code out. He's coded out several times.
Yes.
You're right. He's not going away until the Lord says so. Regardless of what they're saying, they even wanted to put him in hospice and have him go to a center so they could wean him off of the ventilator system. And what they were going to do was they were going to drug him with morphine and stuff like that, not feeding him to eat or anything. What they were going to do that to just take him out of here.
Yes.
And I said, "Oh, you will not. No, you will
That's
not."
what the purpose of that advocate is for. That advocate, that advocate is so important, and it's so sad because when you have people that are going through the various illnesses that don't have an advocate there.
Yes.
The mercy of the healthcare system. They're at the mercy of the doctors. And unfortunately, everybody that goes into these fields, they don't care. I mean, it's a lot of people. You find people that have the biggest heart, but it's a day and time where life equates to dollars to people. And
exactly.
It is.
And although it's overwhelming, and it can be very overwhelming, and it's also heartbreaking. And Phyllis and I are not young chickens anymore. We're older, and it's a lot of strain on our bodies because we've even tried to get help through the government, and needless to say, it have not been able to transpire. So therefore, we've been doing this ourselves. One thing I am grateful for is that his equipment that we have to have and his supplies for the equipment, the Lord has blessed with his insurance to cover that. Otherwise, except for some things that we still have to come out of the pocket with, and that are very costly. But the majority of the things that the insurance is covering, even to the transportation service, because before he got this insurance he has now, we had to pay for transportation service for him to go to his doctor's appointment. Prescriptions, everything. Each appointment, when we use the transportation service for round trip, for them to wait or either leave and come back, it was costing us $300.
Oh my God.
Yes, $300 for each time. Yeah. And so now I'm grateful for the insurance he has, which we have a total number of how many rides, Phyllis?
24?
A year, 24 rides, which is a blessing. Before then, we did that, and also we use Uber Waves, and sometimes they're dependable, sometimes they're not. So there are different things, and they do. Another thing I want to say too about equipment, although Tony, bless his heart, refuses to use it, they have things out there for others that are willing to use a voice box. They have another kind of machine that you use your eyes to operate to communicate with people. But he can talk. You have to just listen closely to him. A lot of times, if he's deflated, because he has a tube
Inflated.
Inflated, you can't hardly understand because he just mouths, like you have to learn how to read lips. Outside of that, if he would use the voice, like he don't like it, he don't like the way it make him sound, he don't like the way it feels. But a lot of, other than that, there are other things that they have that you can use. And if, as I look, when I take him to his appointments in Georgetown, some of the people that come in that has the same diagnosis as he does, and I'm looking at him and I'm looking at them, I'm like, this is amazing, because he looks nothing like a lot of them. Even when I went to the boot camp for caregivers, through the ALS chapter, I'm looking at some of the people that came in there with their family, because he didn't go with me. He didn't want to go, and I didn't force him to go. So I went to the boot camp, and some people had to bring, their patients or their children or husbands and wives, however, because it's not just kids. It was husband, wives, kids, everybody, because it affects anybody. It doesn't have an age on it now. At one time they said it was an age, but it doesn't have an age on it anymore. Right. And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, oh my. I was so grateful to God that some of the things that they have to do, I don't have to do, because he is in a different state as far as that disease is, So, okay, Phyllis.
Can I just say this? Can I just say, first and foremost, I look at when you guys are just partnering with this, I'm so close to my sister, and I just love that sisterly love. I mean, because I'm not even gonna lie, this is too much for one person. Some of the people that come on here, period, it's too much for one person. But that's a blessing that you all take this on as a partnership, and you battle this together as a partner. I mean, and that's a blessing within itself, because even though you have siblings, sisters, brothers, whatever, everybody is not committed to this for their own reasons, not all the time because they don't want to. But it's a blessing to have your sister in this with you, and that you can depend on your sister to help you out during those times. That's a blessing. But what I do want to go back to is, first and foremost, caregivers. Tell me, when you all got this diagnosis, because I know it was hard for him. At 35, when you think about 35, you're in the prime of your life. When you get this diagnosis at 35, I can imagine how it was for him. Tell me, how was it for you guys?
You want to begin, or you want me to start?
You go ahead.
For me, as a parent, it was very hurtful. Also, I really did not know how to deal with it. Basically, I didn't, act out of the normal anything. I didn't know how to really respond to him in some aspects, but I just paid attention to what he was asking to be done and things like that. But it's hurtful when you see your children or anybody basically in your family or close to you go through these struggles. And really, when I took him to a holistic doctor, and they wanted to put him in this machine thing, he would not get in there, because I guess some kind of machine, they try to put you in and try to detox your whole body, and they see if that will cause any changes. But he had already gone through some kind of freezing thing that they had to put him through at Johns Hopkins. And he said, I'm not doing that. And of course, I said, okay, well, we won't do it. And then the medication that they wanted to give him to help clean him out, when he started taking it, it started making him feel like he had diarrhea. Don't want to be graphic, but I'm going to say diarrhea, things like that.
Or the flu. It makes you feel like you have a terrible.
Yeah. And so he didn't want to do it, because I know with him, he was just trusting God. And that's what he was doing. But like I said, and even now, although sometimes I get overwhelmed, I have to leave when I feel myself swelling up, as I'm looking and saying, God, why? Just why? Why haven't you manifested the miracle in him? Because I know you're still working miracles every day somewhere. Why can't he be the one next in line for the miracle, and you perform the miracle in him? Because his desire is to be active again. His desire is to spread the gospel, and things like that, and be a normal person again in life. And so when I look at him there, and sometimes you can see the frustration on his face. And although he does things too, yes, that make us so frustrated sometimes, because he's a man, and you know how men are. No offense to other men that may be listening, if you're there, you all are just bullheaded. Y'all want to do it your way, regardless of what you're being told, or something that help you out better, or to help whoever caring for you. You still want it done your way, and that's the frustrating part, that I deal with. And it's also hurtful, because I'm like, I know I just said, why, just why. But then I say, okay, God, you said you wouldn't put no more on us than we could bear, and you're giving us the grace to do this, giving us the grace. So I hope I answered the question. Your turn, Phyllis.
So what I wanted to go back to before we
She asked you a question.
What did, how did you how I felt? Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. When I found out about it, I was like in a state of shock.
But after this, keep on with your thought. I just, you know how we don't jump around.
Yeah. So I was like in a state of shock, because for one, I had heard of it as Lou Gehrig's disease, but I didn't really know what it was. And then when my sister was telling me about it, then I start seeing the different things. So I start researching myself, and then I found out, because she didn't tell me about the lifespan or any of that. My sister spares a lot of information. She keeps a lot of things to herself. And so when I found out the lifespan of it, I was like, oh my goodness, he's been given a death sentence, And it's like, and then when they said there's no cure for it, it was just like, it's like somebody punched you, I mean, it was hard. It was really hard, really, really hard. Yeah. So, but what I was saying, what my sister was saying, as far as, the care, because he requires 24-hour care, and he's at the home, we did decide, make a decision to bring him home, because we took turns going. We were at the hospital every day. One of us was at the hospital with him every day, because we were concerned about his care, and it was just necessary, because when you see that your loved one going through, and then you see how people, like you said, they don't even care about you. It's $1 to them, and how you get treated. And especially if you're immobile and you're dealing with this, and you watch nurses and assistants or whatever just treat your loved one like a piece of rag or an animal. And that has happened to him. And so he has been in, since he had this diagnosis, and as it progressed and really caused him to not have much function, any functionality, other than he uses his fingers to type on his phone. He uses his thumbs to type on his phone. That's his communication, as far as anything outside of him talking to us. But to see how they treat your loved ones, and if anybody knows anyone that has a trach, they have to be suctioned, and it's a horrible feeling for them, because if they're not suctioned, then all of that mucus and everything is going down and is plugging.
And they can make them choke.
You lose because there's no air coming in, so you lose you lose consciousness. And so my sister and I and my niece, two of my nieces, were trained on how to get care for him, because my sister said he's got to come. We knew how to take care of him before he even went to these several facilities and hospitals. My sister had to change. She's taken him out of 4 facilities because the care was just horrible. And you know how when you're looking on on the website to see the ratings for hospitals. It's true. Believe it. It is true. We've seen everything firsthand. He's experienced it. And some nights I wouldn't leave there till 12 and 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to make sure he was okay. Everything was done for him and he could just go to sleep and not worry about someone helping him, and until another shift came on. And just watching them have to deal with the disease, but then also have to deal with people in these facilities that care nothing about you and talk to you, say things to you. It's like, well, you're going to die anyway. So, those type of things. And a lot of times when you come in, he would just see him looking up, I said, are you okay? And he said, I have to keep praying to keep my sanity, because of the things they say and do to you. So after so many episodes of things happening to him where he's had to be rushed to the hospital because he's lost consciousness and nobody cared, what happened to him. And my sister made that decision, we're going to have to bring him home, whether or not the government wants to help. And when we say the government, we're talking about Medicaid, because Medicaid is the one that you get home health care, so, and they try to discourage that and tell you, well, it's a risk. If you do that, you're going to be liable. But she had to do that so that they wouldn't literally kill her son.
Yeah.
Some things you have to make those decisions because they do not care about your loved ones. Yes.
So it's just, Carmelita, you just pretty much turned your home into a space for Tony to come in and you and Phyllis and others take care of him. Now, does he qualify, or have you tried respite care? Do you have anybody coming in to assist?
No, I've tried to do respite care. Everything is out of the pocket. You got to pay everything out the pocket. And they are not cheap.
Yeah.
Yep. So what we have done, we basically try to set a schedule where Phyllis comes certain days and she'll spend the night and she'll stay and help out so I can go to church. Or Maria comes so I can go to church on a Tuesday night or a Sunday. Some weeks his father comes maybe twice a month, sometimes twice a month, and sometimes 3 times a month. So I can go to church or something like that. And that's what we literally had to do. Now, when we were living in DC, he had care, a lot better care, because there was 24-hour service, although it was challenging, with the staff. Amen. Very challenging.
And they call out.
But it was the fact that there was 24, and they'd give me a break to go to sleep or take a nap or go run errands and things like that. And then that's if they show up.
Yes.
And if they show up, we had to still take the shifts. So what you're gonna do? You can't leave him. He has to have care. And so that's what we experienced. And then we did have some of them that were pretty good. And he went through, I know, a good 20 something plus nurses or aides, because he said, I don't want them coming back. And so we had to let him go. So we're out there 24 hours in the room with him to see how they're performing. And some of them we just got rid of, period, because they wasn't doing nothing. They
weren't experienced.
Well, yeah, and were not experienced at all. We had to train everybody, basically almost except for probably 2 people that came in there to assist on what to do out of that whole list of people. Yeah, so what they're doing, and I saw it firsthand, and I'm putting it out there at the nursing facility he was at, the last one, is I see how they do. They take and they sit there and they help these people do their paperwork and do their trainings. You have somebody sitting there give you answers and stuff like that so you can certify. Then that's against the law.
Yeah, and it's dangerous. That's dangerous. Taking care of a patient and
really
you're not qualified and knowledgeable to do it only because you passed the test or you got a certificate.
Right.
That's just not enough.
Right.
It's not. And really, it's a lot, especially if there was more mobility, it'd be a little easier. But by him not being mobile, everything that's done, you're literally almost like you're taking care of a baby. Yeah. So, and I know you all understand that too as well.
Yeah.
And there might be
My
other
dad
people.
my dad had a trach, so I definitely understand. And then, with my mom, her
Mm-hmm.
journey with cancer, so I definitely understand the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thank God she was a little older, so her
Mm-hmm.
Medicare, yeah, she had
Mm-hmm.
Medicare kicked in,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
But
if
yeah,
y'all don't mind, can y'all tell us what's the lifespan for ALS?
they say 1 to 5 years.
They're
And
Okay.
still
then
saying that.
they're still saying
Mm.
that there have been people that has just been previously diagnosed
Yes.
within a year or less, 6 months
Yes.
to a year, they've already transpired.
Yes.
So it's hard to say. It depends on the individual. It's an
Now,
individual.
is there anything, and again, excuse my ignorance,
Mhm.
but again, I'm approaching this like I don't know because I don't.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
is this like a genetic condition? Is this something that if he had it, his kids could have it? Where does this come from, or does it just come out of nowhere?
What I was told, because I asked the same question, it's
Mm-hmm.
not. It can be genetic, but it's not necessarily at all cases. In all cases, genetic.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like played sports and stuff like that, and you had several injuries, or either have they said you could be shocked, something like a death that shocked you or whatever, that can bring on something within your brain. Yeah, that's that
Oh,
can
wow.
cause that to transpire.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, he did play football. He used to be the quarterback for his high school football team. I
Mm-hmm.
don't recall. Now, my parents probably could answer more than I can with that, but I don't recall him ever being injured to where if he got
Mm-hmm.
concussion or none of that. He didn't have any of that. And I do believe part of how his started and came about is the and I want to say this because this is what I felt in my heart, and he probably can attest to it as well. Is that the death of my father? Although it was very fast, and they were two peas in a pod for real. Um, that had an effect on it as well. So I do believe that was the part of the shocking that triggered something within his body. And I'm not saying he didn't get anything from the football part of it. And
Yeah.
not just that, is that when he
It-
played the piano, he played so hard and he was so emotional and he's standing in chairs and jumping up and down all this kind of
He was so active. He
yeah,
just
yes. And so
and
a lot of that
and he's a
know,
black belt
in your body
in
too.
martial arts.
In your body that cause your body to start it. Like with carpal tunnel. Same thing like with carpal tunnel. With people to get the people that have that is because your posture and stuff like that. So anything could trigger that. And I'm telling you, I would always say to him when we were in our church was in Greenway Shopping Center before they tore all that down. There was a gentleman that would come and stand in the back of the service up against the wall. He came in and he would just stand there. He would speak to Antonio and nod his head and acknowledge that he was there and so forth. Antonio acknowledged him, and he would always ask, "Can I pray for you?" And the guy would walk and pray. Let him pray for him. And he had a burden so strong for this young man that he wanted the Lord to really heal this man. He wanted to see the manifestation of the healing. So when body started deteriorating, before he finally was just flat out and couldn't do anything else, he began to walk like that guy.
Wow.
Yes, his hands and fingers, everything started curling up like this guy's hands. And I was saying, oh my God, he took on the burden of this person. That man may be fine now. I don't know because we're not over there anymore and I haven't seen him.
yeah,
I would love to see him today to see if he is walking around normal.
right.
Mm.
He has taken on that because that burden in his spirit and his heart so strong for this young man to be healed. He would see him outside and he would stop and pray for this man. And so I really feel that he had taken on the illness of this man. Some of that too could have been a part of what happened to his body. That's my belief.
I do believe
Mm.
that
Mhm.
some preachers, they take on the burdens of
Mhm.
like their members. I truly believe that.
I never thought about that, but that could,
Yeah, that but see, they don't know. They said they really don't know how it starts, when, or what. They kind of trying to figure out. And I also asked the question. I said, well, he was a black belt, a phenomenal black belt in martial arts, and championship after championship. That was his thing every weekend. He and my father, going to win championships. And with hitting blocks and all those type of things, I said, could that have attributed that, for that? But no one seems to think, well, they're not sure.
They don't know. Right.
You would think that they would use him.
That's what I was going to ask.
Right, as a case study to show
exactly
why he's lived so long. Like, what has happened to cause him to pass up? I think that's a great.
They should be studying his entire life from diagnosis until now, because he is the perfect case study to change the life expectancy and to maybe put some parameters around. I don't know. I'm just surprised that he's pretty much not like the poster child for, surpassing the survival time frame.
Yeah, it was saying you're right. Like, they would study him and just find out, what is different, because as we know, a lot of things is genetic. We have some genetics, and I don't know about all of this, but I know when they were talking about stem therapy, because this to me, it lines up almost like Parkinson's and like MS. I don't know, how that, happens, but it just almost lines up like how your muscles begin to deteriorate. And I know at one time, Michael J. Fox, they were talking about, I think he has Parkinson's. Yes. They were talking about stem cell therapy and how that could help. So I don't know, how this plays a role in that, but it almost seems similar with the diagnosis.
Yeah. Now, if they had come up with some of the clinicals that they haven't now, when he first was diagnosed, it may be something that could help. But like I said, everything they have now, they say he's outlived the time frame, and it's not going to affect him because he's had it so long.
They have put that's the thing. They have put the time frame on him. Right. These doctors are putting the time frame on him.
Right. Go back to the lab and be like, okay, we need to study those that survive beyond the 5 years.
Yes.
What medications are they on? What's their therapy like? What study what that. I'm just so surprised that pretty much they are giving up. If you are surviving, they've pretty much given up on you being a case study or being involved in any type of programs.
Well, even at the facility he was at, the last one we took him out of, we kept asking them for physical therapy, because you're supposed to be a rehabilitation center.
Right.
You're not rehabilitating him, first of all. So they put him on a machine and trying to see if they can get any signals to see if the muscles or the nerves are doing anything. Well, they declared in their mindset that nothing was transpiring, so they stopped. They wouldn't give him no kind of assistance. Now, each time he's come out of the hospital and come home for like 4 weeks, they'll send a physical and occupational therapist to do his arms and do his legs or something like that. And the rest of it is up to the family to do it, because they call themselves training you to do it. Yeah, amen. And his father and his uncle Leroy, they do that. And anyway, but to have a regular physical therapist or occupational therapist on a regular basis, they said won't do any good. That's what they are saying.
That's what they are saying.
My question has always been to them: how do you expect an individual to increase their mobility or to gain the strength to wake up the nerves or the muscles if you don't exercise? Right. Well, there's nothing else we can do, because machine is showing that there is still no activity and Okay.
That's what it is. Everything is the machine, or we've been trained to this. And then when we said, well, they said, well, he's a very sick man anyway. So and this and that. And I said, that's what you say. You say this and you say that. I said, but it doesn't matter what you say anymore. I said, because we still trust God in this whole thing. Absolutely. It's what God says, not what you all say.
That's right.
Now, is he on any medication? Is he on any medication to kind of help with anything like pain? Because I heard you all say something about the spasms. I'm assuming those were spasms, with his muscles.
Yes.
Is there any type of pain? Is there any type of medication that he can take that could help with that?
Well, they have not given him anything. Even if they offered something, he refuses. Because he don't want to take it. Okay. Only thing he will take is if his blood pressure is extremely high, because there are times when his pressure goes up or either his heart rate is extremely high, he'll take a half or something of that a day or two, and that's it, and it goes back to normal, and you're done with it. So they say, well, you don't have to take it every day, just give it as needed. Outside of that, he doesn't take any meds.
That's
Only give him supplements, no meds.
Wow.
When
he go in the hospital, they try to paddle with stuff. He said no.
Yes.
That's one thing. He advocates for himself as well, because he'll stop them. What is this? What are you trying to give me? No, I don't want it. You're refusing it? Yes, I'm refusing. And he refuses. And they had to note it in their records that he refused this medicine. And then there were some that would try to even give it to him anyway. Oh yeah, and him try. And so we had to have those, people removed.
Yes.
We're not going to drug him if he doesn't want it. Let him deal with this. His body. Let him deal with it.
And they get adamant. They get adamant.
For you all to tell me that he's like 13 years into this.
No,
he's able to still
17 years.
17 years, yes.
Yeah, 17 years from 35 to 52, yeah.
And he is advocating for himself. Like, God is still in the midst of this.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's amazing. He is a miracle that he is still here and able to have some movement and function. And he's in his right mind.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's what his pulmonologist said, the same thing. You are a miracle. He told her, he held her hand on our visits. He said, I'm a miracle. He said, you're looking at a miracle.
That's
absolutely.
Right.
And when she came to visit him in the hospital's last setting, she said, hey, you're right. You're a miracle.
Yeah.
And
he's already a miracle. God is already performing miracles. I think sometimes we get caught up in, we deem a miracle as if they're completely healed. That's not all the time what happens. God does things the way that he sees fit. And I use my daughter, I just be like, she's nonverbal, and I always kept praying for her to speak. And I'm thinking, like, when she speak, oh my God, I can't. But I'm like, but she is speaking. You don't understand her. So I think that sometimes we kind of create out in our mind what the miracle looks like.
Right.
It doesn't always. It's like you got to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord and let him, perform the miracle and show you what the miracle is. So I saw the guy that was on, and I don't know his name, but the guy that was on, what was the show?
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, and I saw his interview in December. That was my first time seeing his interview. Now, I think he had just been diagnosed, and by February he had passed away.
He was gone. Yes.
So you look at that and you just be like, and his started off with one of his hands. I think it was his left hand. And he said it had started going to his other hand, but it had just started with his hands. And by February, he was gone.
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know it was that quick.
It was very quick. Yeah, I followed it. It was very quick because I used to watch Grey's Anatomy. So
it was very quick.
So now, are there any more people that you guys know of that have survived as long as Tony?
Yes, there is one gentleman. He used to be a Baltimore. He used to be a Baltimore Ravens football player. Yes, and he's still living.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
And they have a foundation. His wife and them have a foundation.
Yes.
They have every year. They have like fundraiser and stuff like that, and things that you can go to. When they have his birthday celebration, you buy tickets and it goes toward the foundation and stuff like that.
I have their information.
I've heard too of Lou Gehrig's, but I never associated that with ALS. So it's just another name for it. Wow.
Yeah.
And this needs to be, I know people don't want to hear this because we love football and I do too, but this really needs to be really talked about, with the football players, because some of those hits, them hits are, I know the guy, the what's his name? The guy from Miami, the quarterback, and I forgot his Talumi or whatever. But he got hit so bad that it was, he was out.
I know.
And he was determined to come back. And you don't realize that when you said this, I didn't realize that a lot of that can be attributed towards like major sports hits.
And especially martial arts. When you are breaking boards, and I tell you, every weekend, that was his lifestyle. And he won championships after championships. And I wondered
Could have
if
been
that,
damaging the nerves.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Like I said,
amazing.
they can't pinpoint. All they can do is speculate what they think or
Yeah.
say what they think. You know,
Mhm.
they have never been able to pinpoint it. So
And Bunny, when you said something about, you and Paula both about him being the miracle and just trying certain, things. Yes, he wants to be manifested, healing to be manifested, but he also he said, even if the Lord only heals me 70%, or whatever percentage it is that he heals me. He said, as long as he allows me to be able to get on my face and worship him the way I'm used to worshiping
He's a
him.
worshiper. Yep. Yeah, I get it. I mean, knowing Tony, I get it. I get it. I get it. Even when he was sharing his story, he still pushed. His voice has started getting was starting to slur at the time. He
Yeah,
still pushed.
he
He
did.
pushed. He was praying. Yeah.
And he had engagements. He preached like crazy. God gave him
hold him up. Like he said,
huh?
you had to stand behind him sometime and hold him up.
Yeah, sometimes
Hold him
right.
up.
And
he
then
wants to shout, he get to shouting.
yes,
Like Lord.
and they would grab him on by his arms so that he could shout. He was
Now,
determined.
as caregivers, give us a day. Tell us, like, just explain to us a day with Tony from the time he gets up to the time he.
Go ahead, Phyllis.
And then I also want y'all to tell us, how you guys. I know you go to church, Carmelita. I know Phyllis goes to church, but I want you all to tell us also how you take care of yourself. So tell us a day, and then tell us how you take care of yourself, because that's
Look,
important.
they laugh, and they probably like, yeah, that's funny. Taking care of ourselves is funny.
I'll sneak in a nap whenever I can. I'm a
She
napper,
does.
and I will get my nap, and I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat. So
And
I
this is the
I don't exercise like I want to because I love the exercise I used to. I have not been able to because by the time we finish caring for him, lifting him, turning him, doing all that stuff, he's very, 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 very particular about a lot of things. You have to do it this way or that way, whether it hurts you or not. You got to do it this way because that feels comfortable for him. Everything has to be to his comfortability.
right.
So that's one of the things. And so when it's as we get him settled, cleaned up, I go lay down.
And I listen out for him. I listen out, and when we hear what we did, so that we could hear him, I ordered a buzzer, like a call, but like almost like a call button, something. And we got it in there, so we have it either place it by his head, or you could do it on your foot. And we know when we hear the buzzer, we know he needs help with something. So. Sometimes when Lita has done the bulk of his cleaning him and doing feeding him because now he's being fed by tube fed. Yeah. So before my sister was fixing his meals, and then after all of that, even after all the taking care, the day starts. It always starts. Let's just say it always starts because it's 24 hours, everything. So it's like so that she can get a nap, I say, you go lay down. I'm going to do this. I'll take over. I'll do that. And I'm helping him. And she'll jump up. What do you need my help with? What I need you to do is to go and lay down. That's what you need to do. You have him way more days than I do, And so, but what, and he doesn't go to sleep at night.
Nocturnal.
We wait till the morning when it's time for us to get up and do things, and then he'll go to sleep. But he will only sleep for an hour or two, and then you hear the buzzer because he needs suction, or he needs whatever needs to be done. And then by that time, it's close to washing his face and all these things and getting him prepped for his food. He'll sleep maybe an hour or two after that, and then you're back. So my sister or I will get up, like almost every hour, maybe sometimes less than that. And it depends on how he's feeling, how things are going. Sometimes 2 hours, because he always has to suction. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and that's, and
Remember,
we,
sorry,
huh?
he's calling. Go ahead. I'm
So
sorry.
and so that's, because there's a lot of mucus buildup in there. And we just, if you don't mind me saying this, we just found out on his last hospital visit that the mucus is where it should be going down through the belly, coming and going into the belly. It's going straight to his lungs,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
it's
no.
affecting his lungs terribly. So and even when you're trying it with, trying to suction and there's nothing. So I found out more. So let me go into his mouth some more, because that's where it's kind of coming up the most. But the day like that, it's just, I don't know how, I can't tell you how many hours of sleep that my sister does not get, Yeah. So
And you as well.
yeah,
Thank you.
we're up a lot. And with the caregiving, we also have my mom, so it's the same. It's, yeah. So, but that's the day for us. The day starts what, 12 midnight,
So
back
12
to
minutes.
I thought
through
he was gonna
12
say in the
midnight.
morning.
Yeah,
He'll sleep a few hours during the day,
just a few, and I go to
just a
sleep too.
few.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just
So
a few.
So
that's
is there
that's why you need
anybody
to.
else on the team other than Marie? Is there anybody else on the team that could come over to relieve you, Lita?
Well, we had one person, but she decided she wasn't doing it anymore. So, and she
Okay.
doesn't. Only when I asked her, she'll come for a couple hours. And you best believe, by the time I get ready to walk to that door, she ready to walk out the door. So it's like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody want to
Some
be
people
trained?
can't take it.
Anybody want to be trained?
Just
We're
yeah,
soliciting. We're soliciting help.
yeah. Because we can train you. The only thing we can't do is change. We can do everything that the hospitals do,
Except
basically,
for train
other than them administer medicine. We can do all of that and do it better, I must say. The only thing we can't do is, because it requires a skilled nurse, is to change his actual trach. Now,
Mhm.
Maria and I have had to, because one time it was coming out, and Carmelita panicked. She just froze. Oh God, it's coming out. So Marie said, calm down, calm down. So she and I got it. We got it back in. And you have to be careful, because if you that thing comes out and you don't know how to get it back in, or get it, that hole starts close up. So you got to be careful, and that's his way to breathe.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have to be careful. There's a lot of tubing and stuff. So we have learned how to do everything, even with the what's the bag?
It's like the oxygen
If
bag.
the ventilator stops working, we
Mhm.
have to know how to. What's the bag? What's the bag called?
What
The
are you
blue
talking about?
bag.
Oh, Abby.
Is it like
Abby.
the oxygen bag where you kind of
Yes, you have to
okay.
do. You have to know how to do all those things. How to cap. You have to do
Mhm.
everything. We do his
Yeah.
trach care. Make sure everything's clean. Everything is supposed to be sanitized and clean.
Sanitize.
Everything. Yeah. So.
Well, it's a blessing to have you guys to take care of him. I think
Mhm.
who better to love and take care of you than, of
Mhm.
course, your mother, but your loved ones as a whole. Because I know for me, when you're seeing yourself go through and you're seeing your needs, constantly, it's like your needs it's getting progressive, like
Mhm.
this is not working, that is not working. I know that is a hard thing to endure. And I just broke my foot in December, and it was hard for me to require my family to help out as much as they did. And I told people, I said, I experienced being disabled from
Mhm.
December the 30th to even now. I mean, it's still like I'm not fully there, but where you're relying on people. So I know how hard that is for,
Mhm.
first of all, for the patient as well as the caregivers. It's a
Mhm.
lot. It's a lot. But it's a blessing that he can look and know that he's being taken care of by people who truly love him. That's a blessing within itself. And the blessing, like I said earlier, is the tag teaming of the sisters. I know for me, Me and my sister raised our kids like they were siblings. And I know for me, if something happened with her kids, I could see me doing the exact same thing that you and Phyllis Carmelita are doing, because that is it takes love. It takes, it takes so much to do that. Everybody can't do it. Even family members, that say they love you, that's that's a job that is far beyond just love. It's commitment. It's just everything. And I'm sure he appreciates that. And I call it, storing up your timber. None of us know what we're going to
Yes.
be diagnosed with. You
Yes.
know, we know one day, unless we make it to the rapture, we're going to all have to go away from here for one way or
We
another.
all
And
Right.
know
just,
that's right.
yeah,
He always says this disease is not going to carry him out. That's what he says.
yeah. Well,
He said he's not dying from that. That's what he always
yeah.
says. Yeah.
Well, I just commend you guys, and I just take my hat off to you. And I know with me, like people commend me for taking care of Morgan, and I'm like, don't give me an award for that. That's my job,
Baby.
So I know with you guys, I'm sure, it's an honor to be able to take care of him. But this is something, honestly, that is shouldn't be taken lightly, because as much as we should be doing it, it doesn't always happen like that. And I'm not talking about with strangers. I'm
Right.
talking about with loved ones. So I just commend you guys. I commend you ladies that you're tag team, and because it's a task that somebody has to do, but that's not all the time that somebody steps up and does that task, even
Absolutely.
though the need is there. So those are my closing remarks. I'll turn it over to Bunny, and then I'll give you guys time to close it
Okay.
out. But I thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for having
I
me.
appreciate, we miss seeing Tony over the years. I still remember him as that little kid running around in church, and then growing up to be a man of God and praying for people. He had a soul and a heart to win souls. That was him. Um, I pray your strength, because I know it's got to be hard when the load falls on two people that you need 10 people to carry it. It's a lot. So I definitely pray your strength. Um, I, I I'm mad at the healthcare system that he doesn't qualify for, to get some help for respite care or something, to get somebody to come in to try to help you. Um, I'm praying for y'all, because I know it's hard. This is 24 hours. It's not like,
It is.
as a new mom or something, you're gonna be sleep deprived just for a few months, and
Right.
you'll get that newborn to a point where they'll be able to sleep throughout the night, but that's not your case with the care of Tony. I commend you, Phyllis, for even stepping up to
Ooh,
help Lita.
hallelujah. I tell you,
Yeah,
I couldn't do it
I
without her.
yeah,
Mm,
that took a lot for you to pretty much, stop whatever your, dreams are to, help your family. That I definitely take my hat off to you, and you as well, Lita. It's a lot. And then, you guys got your mom, so it's a lot. You all are in my prayers.
Thank you. Thank
Definitely.
you.
Definitely in my prayers.
And my closing is thank you all for allowing us to share this time with you all about it. I hope we were able to answer your questions and you got something from it, even not just you all as the advocacy group, but those that were chimed in, to listen. I hope they got something from it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And
Mm.
take care of your loved ones. You're gonna have to, because if you put them in these places, they're not gonna take care of them. They're gonna damage them. So, and although it's a hard task and you don't have a life, afterwards when you're doing that, because your life is surround, around taking care of your loved one. But we got to do it. And God will give us grace, and He'll give you the grace to
And
do it.
that's what he's been.
Yes, it is.
All right, Phyllis.
I want to piggyback on my sister and thank you both for even thinking about us and letting us share that this information. And I know the time is out, but if anyone, anybody that's experienced it or they want to know more about ALS, there's a DC, Maryland, and Virginia ALS chapter. They can just do www.als.org, and it's in Arlington, Virginia, and then the brigade the Brigance Brigade Foundation in Owensville, Maryland. You can just pull it up by looking for the Brigance Brigade Foundation. I don't have enough time to tell them because I know your time is running out, but those two organizations will,
type it in the comment section. If you can do that, that would be great.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, type it in the comment section, because at that point they will have it and it shows in the comment section.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
But I thank everybody for joining us again. This was a wonderful session, just learning more about, people with ALS, but then also learning about our caregivers, because sometimes those are the forgotten heroes. And I know none of us want to be called a hero, but you are.
Right.
You are a hero. And I just take my hat off to you guys. But we will definitely keep you all in our prayers. And again, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you. And again, I pray for Tony. I pray that he holds on to the hope, because you know what? Sometimes I used to wake up every day looking for something's going to change today, and I'm looking for something positive to happen. So the fact that you have that hope to hold on to, that's a wonderful thing. So I pray that he continues to hold on to that hope.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Thank
you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Likewise. Good seeing you all.
All right. Have a good one.